see that you are dressed for action and have your lamps lit. I remember years ago when sacristan, I noticed that there was a lassie who would spend hours in the little alcove where we reserved the Blessed Sacrament in the Abbey Church. And being sacristan, I had to change the red lamp of the tabernacle. And as I put the new candle in, I whispered in her ear, "La tua vocazione è di essere questa lampada." Your vocation is to be this lamp. And she took it seriously. Sister Martha eventually was responsible for helping with setting up the hermitage, and her traces are on the walls ever since, and actually even the timetable. She fixed a few things when she came. And that is something I think of every time I replace the tabernacle lamp. And indeed, every time I come into the chapel and see it alone burning, it is very representative. Without a word it says, "This is your life." Especially in those early hours, those virgin moments when precisely one is doing what this gospel asks. One is a beacon, as it were, representing the sleeping church and world. And the demon knows it. He can't bear this nocturnal prayer. He can't bear adoration at night. He can't bear people doing that kind of thing. And so he will make sure it doesn't happen. He will make sure that as many monasteries as possible make things happen in the evening and not at night or in the early morning. And he's more free. He hasn't got his hands bound, and around he will go, prowling, looking for someone to devour, with no weight of resistance against him. And now he's hit also the sacramental structure itself in this Holy Land. On the way here, I stopped for a moment with Father Michael, and we agreed that there is probably more going on than meets the eye, and it's no doubt to be ascribed to Masonic influences in high places. It's not that dissimilar to what happened over a century ago in very Catholic France. So just to be aware, it's not just social, political or hygienic, it's also a bit of the other. Why remove the living lamp of the life of the Church, the sacramental life on a daily basis, and it weakens hugely the mystical body in this land and really gives Satan free range. And we also noticed that after the first lockdown, many faithful mass-goers were not coming back. And Father Michael indicated, quoting another priest, that probably it'll be even more difficult after the second one. Fear. If one listens to what's being told officially, it's made to cause fear. Specifically, the Gospel speaks in a very Hebrew way about the watches of the night. It doesn't mention the first one because that's too close to eventide. It goes into the second and the third. The fourth one is the very last, just before daybreak. And by the way, these watches were not equal in length, nor were the hours. The hours were not 60 minutes. There were 60 minutes twice a year. It's therefore watches of very long endurance in the winter and fairly short in the summer, and the hours in inverse proportion in the day, from day rise to down. And so we have here the way they talked. and also the way they thought. Because if you've been involved with a night watch, you are really watching for the first rays of dawn. And it sums up very well what the monk is doing. I remember being told that years ago, and La Trappe, un moine est quelqu'un qui veille, c'est celui qui veille, it's the monk is the one who watches. And that word says it all. It's also indicative of what's happening on a wider level, the sleeping church, dozing souls. The attitude before the sacred is not the same when one is sitting in a sofa with a mug of tea, also answering any telephone call while Holy Mass is going on, fulfilling one's obligation online. From being in the presence of God and His holy angels in church, it's quite different, and the demon knows it. So multiply that by a land which already is weak in faith by now, but in serious trouble. What encounter will these souls have with their God? Just what Olnik wants. It's all in view of getting their soul, so that in the time they've got on earth, they're not focused. The effort we make to focus the camera is interesting when compared with the intention given to the focusing on what matters in life. We focus on other things, do we not? And what are they? Where does the energy go? How much do we souls leak? This Holy Mass is being offered for the holy souls in purgatory, and on the occasion of thinking of deaths of people that we've known and loved and have brought us into the world, we think about that. We've all been close to people just about to leave. I remember talking to one person who was just about to go from this world, well prepared. He was quoting another friend of his who was also in the same state. And he had said to him, "Well, I'm in the departure lounge." And this man was saying to me, "Pray that the Lord will come soon." He wanted to go to meet the Lord. But these are souls who are in the correct disposition, having been well focused. Also people who weren't so contaminated by modern means. They could hardly use a mobile phone, let alone anything more. And we? It occurred to me how actually this, on the contrary, if we want it, can be precisely an occasion to do just that. There is grace in everything. Tout est grâce, as little Therese said. So the grace of this lockdown might be that for you and me. Simplify and focus. In this very room, I anointed your dear mother, and that actually is a consoling moment because the church is there, handing her on. That's how it should be. Peaceful departure. But that cannot happen if we're not at peace. As the first reading implies, peace. The household of God must be at peace. And that is something we can really examine. What is my quality of peace in my journey through time? For if at the end of it I have not been peaceful, I have not succeeded. If I have emitted unpeace, I have not been helpful. So let's look at that specific thing today, my quality of emission. Some people go through life being healing channels all the time, always knowing how to diffuse a bomb without it exploding. Others explode every possible bomb. It's one simple secret. Don't make an issue of everything. It's not worth it.